This is how I made my Gingerbread Lane sign. So these little signs are from Michael's and they're usually on sale for about $5. So what you're going to do is go ahead and chalk paint your surface, and that will give you a nice opaque surface. It's up to you, but you can also acrylic paint the top. Next, I got these little gingerbread cookies off of Amazon. You get a pack, I think, of 12 for $12, something like that. And I'm just snipping off the little loops. And then I want this to be a pink version. You could also do a red version of this sign, which would obviously be so cute for a peppermint gingerbread kitchen. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and chalk paint over that very strong red that's on these first. So now I'm going to mix up my favorite shade of pink, which is this light pink, and it's made with Rosemary by Craft Smart. You can get it at Michael's, and I mix it with white. It's kind of my signature pink color. Now the great thing about these gingies is they are very bendy, so you can really get into the little nooks and crannies of your project in order to paint the sides of the nose, sides of the scarf, sides of the candy. It doesn't have to be perfect because I am going to glitter this and it's all going to blend together, and you'll see it's going to look fine. Next, I'm just going to take some Mod Podge. I'm going to cover the entire gingerbread, and then I'm going to glitter it with one of my favorite glitters, which is Glitz, and that is from Michael's. It's a fine iridescent glitter. So this is what the decal looks like when you get it. Obviously, if you're going to use, yours would have little details on the gingerbread men. Mine don't, because I'm just using them as a placeholder. And then I've made this long line under the gingerbread lane to help you see straight if you're doing a project like mine. Because I am using a tray kind of wood, it is a little bit difficult to place this like peppermint design that I've made. So this is how I cut it. I cut off the corner and a couple of pieces, and then I leave long strips as well. And see right here, I'm cutting it as close as I can to those pink strips without actually cutting them, because they have to be wedged up under that tray. And I also, as you can see, have a lot of centering guidelines just to help. I chose a little bit more difficult piece to do because I chose this tray kind of design for the wood. But maybe that's not something that you want. You could just have a piece, like a regular rectangle piece of wood that you work on. You don't have to have the tray part. You could also have a different size of wood than mine. You can always talk to me on my shop. It's glamcandyboutique.etsy.com, and I can always resize this for you. Well, not always. It can distort it if it comes too much out of its ratio that it's in right now. But if you're choosing a long rectangle like mine, I can usually resize it for you to work for your project. You may also notice that my bottom little rectangle is missing, or polygon, I guess. I accidentally ripped it off, and then I was like, I don't want to stop filming, so I'll have to go back and fix it later. So now I'm just going to peel off my decal, and I'm going to start centering. But I actually decided I want this bottom strip off too, because like I said, it is a tray design on as far as the wood goes. And since these little stripes are supposed to fit flush against the top and bottom, it was like nearly impossible to place both the top and bottom accurately with the stripes. So I have to do it one piece at a time, and that's totally fine. And you just want to take your time carefully lining this up with your center. That's why it's all centered for you. because you can readjust it as long as you're not pressing it down at all. So here I am just double checking my centers and deciding if I'm going to move it again. But just take your time because you can lift it because it's just painted wood. Now, if you accidentally start pressing a piece down too hard, you will not be able to reposition it at all once it is placed. So now I'm happy with that placement, so I am just smoothing it down with my fingers, making sure the entire decal is sticking, and then I'm going to go ahead and start peeling off that transfer paper. When you do that, you want to keep your fingers very close to the project. You're going to have to watch multiple parts on this because I need the stripe to stay. I personally don't care about the gingerbread because I'm putting on my own, but I need that stripe and the lettering to stay. And you'll see like part of the G was lifting up. Well, now part of the peppermint's lifting up. So you might have to just go very slow, keep your fingers close to your project, and just make sure the pieces are laying down. And sometimes you do have to force them. It is not a very sticky surface, so this is why it's a little bit, I'm not going to say difficult, it's just more time consuming to lay it down. So you'll see me here cutting off the piece that I didn't need anymore of the transfer paper. That can make your project easier. And I'm coming at it from different angles. Sometimes it will lay down the vinyl easier if you come from a different angle. So I came from below, I tried left and sideways. You just got to play with it. And now I'm just smoothing it down, just making sure it's all the way down. And I'm going to remove those lines which were just helping me to center. Now I'm taking the corner piece. This is why I cut off the corner. So I know that the right part needs to go flush into that corner so I know exactly where to place it. And it also lines up with my other peppermint stripes. Now I didn't like how I placed that corner piece, so I just carefully pulled it out, and I mean very carefully because it is kind of delicate, and then put it back in properly. And now I'm just repeating that process with the left corner. So this is my last piece, and remember I had accidentally knocked off that little piece of the stripe, so I'm gonna have to go back and fix it, but I just wanted to lay this down first. Here I'm just touching up where I accidentally scratched some while applying the decal, so I'm just using that white chalk paint again. Next I'm just using the glossy Mod Podge, and I'm going to seal all of the decals down. After that Mod Podge is dry, I'm just using some E6000 to glue down my gingerbread people, and I just sort of eyeballed where I wanted them to go. And then I double checked with my measuring tape. And the great thing about E6000 is if you aren't completely happy with where you put something, it does have some work time, so you can move it around and then just clean up the excess glue. Next, I'm just adding a little fabric bow, and if you are going to make this project and you order this decal from me, just tell me if you want a red or a pink bow so you don't have to go somewhere else and buy it, and I'll just throw it in your package for free. So now is my favorite part, and that is the icing part. So this is a small star tip, and I'm just going to first spread some spackle around the edge because spackle doesn't like to stick to anything. So I'm just spreading it very thinly all along where I'm going to put the icing. And here we go. I just love this part. Just gonna start in the center and work my way out. And just do a little wave. And you'll see me just very gently press the frosting where I want it to go if I felt it went down too much or whatever. Now I'm just going to turn this sign so I can come at it from the other way. And then I finish my corner with a little rosette just by doing a little swirl circle. And you can see you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do this perfectly, and it will still look fabulous. Even if you are a beginner, you can do this craft. So now I'm taking some assorted candies, some little pink peppermints, and I'm putting them on the corner. And you can get these kind of peppermints at Annie's Treasures on Etsy. And then I'm taking some little pink pearls and little peppermints in different shades of pink. And I'm going to place those all around the edge in kind of a repeating pattern. And I just got a little idea, and I thought it would be fun to cover up the little dot on the eye with this peppermint. And I'm going to tell you something funny. The dot above the I, or the J, is called a tittle, a T-I-T-T-L-E. Isn't that the silliest? And it always gets stuck in my head every time I think about dotting an I. So here's the completed sign. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you decide to do this for yourself too. If you're not crafty or don't want to do it, I do have a couple of these signs in my shop if you are interested. Thank you so much for watching. Please catch me on TikTok and also on Facebook. I do multiple tutorials on Facebook every week as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week on Monday.